This is another one of the last 20 or 200 videos of the channel that I'm putting out there. I come from a long line on both sides of, I can't say for sure about my dad's. I only know a little about the family. Um, but at least on my mother's side, a long line of people from the bush, all the way from when Detroit was farmland and bush, all the way up to northern British Columbia and northern Yukon territories. That's where my family's hail from. I mean, America-wise. Oh yeah, I can't forget all the way from again from Detroit as far west or east, not west, as far east as New York up to Philly. Yeah, New York, Philly, Boston. Um, anyway, that's just one branch of the family. But a lot of people who are settlers, who have pioneer type attitudes, and in my travels, I've met a lot of snipers, and I have great respect for anybody who hones a skill that well. Uh, whether it's laying in a little dig out with a ghillie suit for a day or two, or in the hot sun in the sand with your gator across your face, doing the same thing. And I've known people that did big game hunting. Not people that were wasteful or showy or did it just for a trophy and didn't respect the animal. But people that respected the game that they were stalking, and they honored the animal who gave up its life so that they would have a good meal. And a lot of these hunters, at least in the state of Michigan, they give food to people. And I mean, not just Michigan, but Michigan has kind of created a program out of it. And seeing my health, because everything that's happening, watching my health go down the tubes. I may never get to those northern territories to spend a few years like I wanted to, and I may never get back to Asia to see my friends and family there. I don't know if I'll even be able to look for my middle child, everything that's happened to my family. With that being said, I always had a dream to have a good long gun, good scope, and to go look for that moose or that elk or even that big buck. You know, uh, it'd be cool to go through, trudging through some valley somewhere, or I mean, just deep woods. But the thing with deep woods, everything is so restricted, and it's just you got other guys vying for the same game. But I mean, you work with what you have, and there's just something about that that binding with the food that you eat, the relationship with your food. We're so far removed from it, and regardless what people think about hunters, uh, there's a significant portion of hunters that have respect for the game that they stalk, or that they wait, they wait to come in their sights. But especially, the idea of going out with just a couple of people into, this territory that's not so welcoming, and waiting for that perfect prey to cross the lines of your scope after you're laying out for a day or two, camping, trying to keep your ear open for wolves or other predators that are around, keeping that campfire stoked, drinking water that you purify yourself, coffee that you make yourself, you brew it primitively, and cooking over an open flame. There's just something about that. And my former house got rid of because family is more important. I had to return overseas because somebody was threatening my family. And although my former in-laws, have some training, my former father-in-law certainly doesn't have the training that I do. So I returned back to protecting my youngest daughter and her mother. So I mean, I sold the house, but there I cooked many times. I cooked over an open flame, and actually we do that a lot in Southeast Asia. Cook over an open flame quite often. Probably more than we use our stove. Used our stove, I should say. But there's something about it. And when you are responsible for your own food, preparing it, hunting it, properly slaughtering it, giving it the respect and the honor, because life is a cycle. I don't want to sound gimmicky or like some may or some cliche, but it is a cycle. There is great sacrifice required for creatures to survive, all the way down from the piece of grass to the buffalo to the elk to the chicken to the cow to the man or woman. Great sacrifice is required for us to survive. So we must give honor to those creatures that die, sometimes giving up their life, the very giving. In nature, there are times when you see an animal giving its life. It walks right in front of you, and sometimes it even looks at you. I've heard stories, something looking right at somebody, and just standing there because it's giving up its life. It's a respect that's given when an animal spirit says, "I'm giving my life so you and your family can eat." And I think about that, especially now it's hunting season, and I give respect to those men and women that go out and hunt for their families to give them food, so that they remember that binding to the earth, the binding to nature, the respect that must be given, and we must live in balance with the creatures around us. Only taking what we need, generally, which the government and biologists they take great time and great effort, so we know how much we can take. So we're not, damaging populations like's been done in the past, damaging them beyond repair. And we should always live in balance and remember where our food comes from. And fathers and mothers should teach their children that that respect for life. And if you can't take that life, then perhaps you shouldn't eat the meat. And then that opens up, and you're in a rural area, that opens up a whole new Pandora's box of problems. If you're not going to kill to get the meat, to get those amino acids you need, it opens up a whole bunch of other problems that are not impossible to surmount, but they're certainly not easy either. And it's just something to be said when you have that relationship with the earth, and when you hone that skill of hunting, to be silent, to not, nothing in the air can smell you, and your breath, your steam coming from your breath in the cold morning is covered because you're so well covered, waiting for that creature to give its life. There's something about that. And when you take the meat home and you have the fur, and whether you mount the headgear or not, still there's something to be said for that primal, but yet also modern. We get so removed from our food, the chicken, the pork, the even the buffalo, the beef, The turkey, we're so removed, not having one thought when we pick it out of the freezer at a store, not having one thought to the great sacrifice that's made in nature for us to survive.